Hi everybody, how are you? This is Phil Dimitriadis. I was talking to Evan the other day over at Cartoon Block, and I thought I would do a demo for you guys on how to create vehicles. And so what I have right here is a page from my sketchbook, and I thought I would just show you this real quick. There are some sketches of different types of vehicles. These sketches up here are done in blue Prismacolor. This is done with ink and marker, and these are actually little pencil sketches done with a 0.5 and 0.7 pencil on little yellow post-it notes. And a little trick is that you can Xerox a post-it note. On most Xerox machines, it'll come up white. And so that's a great way to sketch without having just a white page. But I thought I'd show you this page real quick, because what we're going to do is I'm going to move forward here and do a demo for you on how we can construct some kind of a Recon robot assignment here. Okay, so let me minimize this page. First thing we need to do is we need some assignment guidelines to move us across. So we're going to be designing a reconnaissance vehicle. It's going to be influenced from nature. We want it to have offensive features, which would be some type of shielding or some other type of protective units on it. And then we also want it to have defensive features. So when we think of defensive features, we're talking about maybe some type of missiles, maybe some type of mini machine gun, lasers, or whatever. And so this way we can incorporate all of these. We're going to start with some side views, and then we're going to finish up on a 3/4 view. What I wanted to do is show you guys an overall progression on how I work. So one of the first things I do after I have my guideline, which is right here, one of the first things I do is I go on to Google. It takes me about 15 minutes, and I go gather a bunch of reference. And so when we take a look at the reference that I have right here, let's talk about some common sensibilities that I'm looking for before I start my drawing and my design process. First thing I do is I go into nature and I look at designs that have already been created for me by nature, by Mother Nature, whether it be animals or it be bugs or plants, and I start taking a look. And so I started off just looking for, since I'm doing a vehicle that's going to be reconnaissance based, I want it to have sort of a sneaky, stealthy quality to it. And so I want to see what can influence me from nature. So I went through already and I gathered a bunch of different reference. I was looking up sneaky and sly animals. The owl came up here, which is really great. Some versions of the praying mantis came up. Okay, so I want to talk about what I'm looking for when I'm going over some of this reference. I like, for example, here I really like the V sort of head shape that's in there. I love the claws on the praying mantis. They're also very lean, very thin. I found some artwork that some other artists had done that I thought was pretty interesting in terms of the overall body and the placement of wings. Looking at different insects here, I discovered the exoskeleton right here of the ants. And looking at how their bodies are comprised. So as I go through, the hawk was really fascinating to me. I really like the, oops, let me go back there. The hawk has this really cool head shape, and the way the wings are positioned. There's also a lot of good design sensibilities that can be pulled from that. Looking at a crab, looking at anything from the crustaceous family, right? Really cool. Looking at things that live underwater. The way, this isn't my crab, I didn't put rubber bands on it, but when we look at the eyes and the way this is, constructed, there's a top plate right here which is very protective. They have these little rings around the end. The eyes are separated. They have these huge claws that have these really strong offensive armor on the outside. Really, really great example, something that I can pull from. So I like looking at variations of crabs. There's going to be all different types of crabs from around the world. So as I go through and I start grabbing some of this reference, this is going to give me a better idea. Look at that praying mantis. Look at the head and those arms there. I mean, if I can incorporate those design sensibilities into my drawing, I'm going to be a lot more successful. And then look at what I found right here. Just seeing this example right here of our bomber in the United States, the B-1 bomber here, and then looking at the example of a hawk flying, and look at the similarities in the body design and how we probably copied some of that into our overall design to come up with a more efficient bomber was probably pretty important. Okay, look at that. I don't even know what that is exactly. I just typed in scary looking spiders and sneaky spiders and I came up with this. And when I look at those eyes right up there, it has a very, really cool robotic feel to it. I like the claws on there. So what I can do is I can take part of these eyes and I will keep that. I'll write these little notes down to myself. For example, the eyes here. I might come back here and remember those legs that are designed there and look at the head that's here. And then what I'll do from here is, oh, I found this image. I'll start taking these little parts and I'll save these as reference, and then I'll start incorporating these into my design process. Okay, so look at that. That is an actual shark that swims. It's just a totally different design. Really cool. That's coyote. I like that mouth feature with these long spiky elements on here. I thought that would be really cool. Okay, got a hammerhead shark here. Okay, so you go along in your progress as you're designing and think of any type of animal that might come off as being sneaky or anything that could be sort of reconnaissance based, and do your own research and see where it takes you. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to pause it here for this research, and I'm going to start sketching in just a second here. I'll be right back. Okay, welcome back. Now what I'm going to do is we're going to start sketching and drawing a little bit here. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to close my reference window here. I look at my reference for a little bit and then I like to put it away. And so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to come in here. I'm using a software called Sketchbook Pro. It's made by Autodesk, which is the same company that also makes Maya. And so you can actually purchase, I really like this program for drawing and sketching, just to show you a little bit of line quality here on it. It mimics pencil very nicely. I can get nice thick and thin lines on it, and it feels, for me, it feels just like a pencil. I still like to draw traditionally, but I also like using this because it's a lot easier to copy and paste and to work digitally, and a lot of things are going digitally. So you can purchase this software for about $40, anywhere between $40 and $60, which isn't bad for owning it and having a great drawing software package. So what I'm going to do is I come over and I'm going to switch to this sort of marker wedge here, and I'm going to go to black. What I'm going to do right now is I'm just going to sit here and do a couple quick sketches on what I call silhouette studies. And this is how I like to start my design process, is I come in here and I start I start with side views first, and I start to basically think of, just see where it goes. I'm thinking of some of those bug shapes that I saw, and then I'm going to think of a body, and I might have some arms or legs attached on here. And this is how I sort of start part of my demo process, is I'm trying to envision what my reconnaissance vehicle might look like and how I might come up with some solutions for it. So this is where I start. And I don't always have to have perfect little thumbnails, you know. I just start here sort of exploring and seeing where I might end up and seeing where this might take me. Okay, and then once I get that to a certain point, I just sort of walk away. I can take this sketch right here. I'm going to move it up and scale it down and just look at that. That's my first sort of example there. Okay, and then I'm going to keep going here. I'm going to come down here. Now there's also some other cool little markers in here that I could use too. Sometimes I start really rough like this and I just sketch something up and I get an idea for what I'm thinking about, and then I might come back into it and then block it in with this other marker and then see where that takes me. So let's do that here. I like this sort of really cool angled head shape. I'm imagining that my reconnaissance vehicle might have some kind of a robotic function. I like the idea of these legs maybe flinging back this way, so it looks like part of my vehicle might fly a little bit here. And again, I try not to spend too much time on these. What I'm going to do now is sort of work backwards, where I'm going to take my eraser and I'm going to erase any unwanted lines or information or detail that I have inside this part right here. So I'm going to erase some of this and finish up another silhouette here and see where it goes. I don't like the straight legs though. I want to definitely get some curved legs in there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to erase some of these really quickly here. And then I also want to clean up some of this right here. But I do like that shape that's developing right there. So now I'm going to come back in here and think about, I wanted some more curves in there. So I'm going to make this feel like I have and then maybe some little pipes or gizmos attaching on there. And then when I get back here, maybe I have some type of like landing base or boot, something like this in here. Okay, that's pretty cool. So as I work in this progression, you know, this is a sort of a trial and error stage. So I know I don't want to bore you guys too much, But I'm going to do a couple of these. I might pause in between here and then come back and show you what I developed and how I ended up there. So I like the idea. Maybe there's some type of little like claw. This is reconnaissance vehicle. Maybe I have a claw here. It's robotic in nature. It teams back up here, and then I have some more of these legs that are sort of coming back here. They're bending back as this thing maybe flies around. So something I like to do when I work is I like to talk to myself and see, you know, try to problem solve and come up with other possibilities here. Maybe there's the foot in the back is a little bit larger. Then I have that arm in the front there. Okay, that's it. I'm going to go ahead and stop right there. And what I'm going to do is take this now. I'm going to move this up here. I'm going to scale it down a little bit, and that's sort of another pass for a thumbnail for me. And let me pause for just a second here, and we'll keep going, and I'll show you some more that I develop in the next couple minutes. Okay, so I did one more here real quick, and you know what? I thought I might as well just record some of this. There's a couple of things I really like about using Sketchbook Pro here when I'm designing or thinking up solutions. One cool thing is that I like this marker that they have, and it enables me to sort of get in here, and it just actually feels like a really cool marker. And then what I can do is I can come in and fill any part of this. Now, part of my goal here is to come up with some type of just base solution that might feel sort of reconnaissance or like a droid sort of robot, you know. Sometimes I'm working and I backstep a little bit too. I notice something else that I want to change, and then I come back in and see if I can make a light alteration on part of what I had, especially if it's going to influence some of the design a little bit more. So here right now I'm just sort of imagining that there's like these, maybe there's like a computer-based head, and there's like these big plates that are very protective, and then we get down here and there's going to be like a base system. There's like lots of wires sort of hanging, and then I might have this leg that comes forward with a metal plate on it of some kind, and then that leg sort of pops down a little bit here, and maybe this thing could walk sort of on one leg. Let's go ahead. I'm just going to keep sketching this. Maybe there's another part of the leg here. Okay. There are a couple of sensibilities I started to notice real quick as I'm drawing here. One thing is, and this is sort of a good design sense, is that as I'm working, I notice this. So I'm going to draw this on another layer here for you. Look at the distance I have right now. Let me zoom into this so we can see it a little bit larger. Okay. So when I look at this sketch that I'm working on right here, one of my concerns about it right now is that I have almost the same distance from here to here as I do from here to here, which is a little boring. And so I don't want that to happen. So what I'm going to do is come back in here, and I'm now going to take this area that's right down in here, and I'm going to see if I can just scale it down a little bit and just move it and bring it back up into the drawing here real quick, you know, and put it up maybe about here. And I want to alter the size of the leg. So actually, now I'm looking at that, and I'm sort of, now I sort of don't like the angle of that leg. So let me erase some of that a little bit, and we'll back up here just a teeny bit. And then we'll change how these legs are working. So let's get a really cool angle that's sort of maybe popping up here. There's another shield maybe on here. There's some other type of element that's coming down. And I like this idea of like these platformed feet that have like huge hydraulics on them of some kind to sort of lift that leg sort of up and down. I was going for the angles here in the head are, I took a look back at some of my reference, and I was trying to get a good feel for that praying mantis sort of angled head. And again, these are side views, so once I do a couple of these and transform them into my next point of view, it's really going to change how the drawing is progressing. But you know, this is better. What I like about working like this, and the teachers that I had, is that, you know, I'm not just starting with a completely blank canvas. I'm starting with an idea that's allowing me to sort of move forward and progress. Nothing's worse than having a complete blank canvas. It's really difficult to try to progress from there. So at least by having some type of cool silhouette shape that's piecing together here, that can do something for my progression as I move forward. Okay, that's sort of cool. I like that stance of these, having these maybe sort of three supportive legs with some type of shielding on them. And maybe this has this really large sort of headpiece here that's sort of robotic in nature. I like the way that this part comes up here. Let me erase some of that in there real quick. Alright, I like the way that this is echoing on the top of that shape right there. That's pretty cool. I like how those two line up with each other. And then let's finish down part of the leg right in here. Okay. More hydraulics, a couple feet plates like that. There we go. So that's another design. So what I'm going to do now is just to zoom out of here. Okay, let's move back down here. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to select this guy right here. Okay. And I'm going to go ahead and let's move him up here. Scale him down a little bit. And I can look now. Now I have sort of a fourth design. And so I like the progression that I'm starting to show here. Let's just take a look at everything that we have and see if I can zoom in and move these back into play here. Okay, so what's cool about what we're doing right now is we started with one thing that was sort of bug-like, sort of flying around. And now I have this progression. I like this head shape here. I like what's transpiring right here. It has a much more robotic feel versus this thing feels like, I was sort of looking at it, thinking of a shark when I was drawing this. I have that fin, the head of like a praying mantis, some weird leg structure in the back here. But now I'm going into this sort of robotic feel, which is pretty cool. I like some of this. So real quick, what I like to do sometimes, just to save myself time, I'm only about, what am I so far, about 10 minutes into my sketch process right here. What I'm going to do, just to save a little bit of time, I want to finish up a page here of designs. And, you know, part of my whole idea is that if I can do a whole bunch of designs in 20 or 25 minutes and simplify part of my design process, that's really important for me. So I like these legs that I had right here. I'm going to take these and copy and paste them, and I'm going to bring them down. I'm going to move them down right over here. Okay? And then I'm going to come over, and I was just sort of curious, what if I take this head shape that I have right in here? I want to copy that, and I'm going to paste that. I'm going to bring that over here. Okay. Oops, I didn't mean to rotate that. Let's bring it over right here. But now I'm going to make it, I want to scale it up a little bit more. And let's see if I can't rotate it a little bit. Move it back in position about there, let's say. Okay. And there we go. Deselect it. All right, and I'm going to come back in. I just paste it on there quickly. Let me see what else I can add in there. Let me see if I get some of these other shapes moving in here. I like the fact that there could be something that sort of comes over the base right here. Maybe there's some other, it's getting a little squiggly back there, getting a lot of little lines. But that's okay. That's sort of cool. Different, you know, another approach, you know, another step in that direction of problem solving and coming up with something. So I like that. Let's take that one. I'm going to scale him down a little bit so he's not too big. So I don't want to eat up too much time here. What I'm going to do is go ahead. I'm going to break again just for a minute, and I'm going to finish this next row of thumbnails. And then we'll come back and I'll show you the ones that I have. We'll pick one that I like, and we'll start drawing and designing from there. Hi guys, welcome back. So I took a little bit of time off there, and I just finished doing some thumbnail studies here. And so far, this is what I have. What I've come up with, and so I've been influenced by sort of this idea. I like this progression I'm getting into with like a sort of a spider or a bug or something with tank treads. Even thinking about Star Wars, and I was thinking of this big cylinder-shaped mechanical eye that might have infrared and some other little elements on there. And so what I thought I'd do now is something I like to do once I get some shapes like this, you know, once I spend about 15-20 minutes in knocking out some shapes, I can come back and then start to take some of these and copy and paste them and see where that might take me. So as you can see, these are all in one layer right here. I'm going to go ahead and move that over. And what I'm going to do is just copy and paste some around here. And I'll take some parts. Like I still like this robotic leg system that's like right in here. So I'm going to take that. I'm going to copy that and paste that. And there it is. It ended up coming right down here. I'm going to move that over here. And let me see if I can scale this up just a little bit more. All right. And actually, what happens if I paste that again? And let me move that over. I'm just sort of curious. Maybe if I have a couple of them overlapping each other or something. Now I have sort of 4 legs there. And again, this is a silhouette study, so that could be, maybe 5 legs and we can't see all of them or whatever. But let me see what I can come up with. And I still like a couple of these other shapes that I've been messing with here. I was really having a lot of fun coming up with this. I was looking at ant exoskeletons, and this sort of reminds me right here very much of an ant head and these little sides that are sort of coming out. And I sort of like that one too. So what I'm going to do again is copy and paste something else over here and see if I can mess with it a little bit more and see where it takes me. So let's try taking this head that's right in here and see what kind of design I might come up with that. Okay, copy and paste. There it is. And now I can move this over here. And I'm going to see if I could sort of scale that up a little bit. If I get something that's really large. And what's cool about this is I can sort of move it into place and see if that ends up, I sort of like that silhouette of it being over the legs, and then maybe I can have a base, sort of a body there. So there, I'm going to hit deselect. Now I can come back in and I can add, there could be like a little neck support, there could be some hoses coming in the back. In here I might have something back here that might be contained or something. So I'm just going to sort of sketch in a couple ideas and see what I come up with. Okay, and then fill these in with my my brush here. All right. So that's sort of cool. It's different, combining a couple others, and it's a little bit large in the scale here. So what I'm going to do is just come in here and draw around it and then scale that back up. Okay, get that a little bit smaller in there. It sort of looks like a dog with like a big head. So I don't know, I might alter that a little bit more. Again, for me, doing these, just spending this 15-20 minutes does a lot for me to transition into like a sort of a drawing phase when I really want to flesh this out. I also like this design here that I have. It has a real spider feel, and it actually it reminded me sort of like a venomous snakehead there. So what if I take this guy over here and I want to move him, put him up here. I was just sort of curious, what if I were to rotate him, flip him from another angle? Maybe I could get another design to work with. I could do something upside down, or it was a flying drone of some kind. So you know what, this is cool. Let me put them right here and see what I come up with. Okay, and so I just thought I'd spend a couple more minutes here doing a couple more of these and finish up the rest of the page. Let's copy and paste one more over. I like the head shape that's on this guy, but I don't like some of the legs. So now I can bring that over here and I can modify it and see if I can squeeze one more silhouette in up here on the top there. Okay, there we go. And let me move them up a little bit like so. Deselect here. Let me take this one here. I'm going to resize them for a little bit here. Okay, there we go. And now I'm just going to come in and just sort of work on top of these and see where it takes me here. What if I expand off this head a little bit, put some type of element that comes down. Erase some of what's in here. And let me go for maybe he has like a center plate that comes down. Just trying to think if he had maybe a couple round turret bases or something, round feet or something, and then there might be something in the back here that comes up. Thinking of, I saw some reference of like a heavy-duty compact guy here. Maybe there's 3. Maybe you can spin in like a semicircle. Something like that. Now I don't like that. There's a tail on there, so I'm going to erase that off. And let me scale it down. That's sort of cool. That could be something neat. Back when you erase a little bit. I sort of like that idea. It's like 3 tread feet down below with some type of protective shell base, and then he has this large head that might have like a hammerhead shark that has these ends that stick out, and then there could be some type of weapons on those. So I could develop that a little bit more and see where that goes. That could be something new, different to work with. Alright, let's jump back over here. Looks like a little dog sitting there. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead. There, that's a little bit different. So what I'm going to do now is, let me go ahead. I'm going to take a couple of these, and oops, and meant to move this. And so that's sort of my overall page of thumbnails. I'm going to take a couple of the ones that I like here. I'm going to throw them on another page, and then I'm going to go in and start to sketch them and draw them out and see where it takes me. Okay, so phase 1, silhouettes, finished, and now let's jump into some sketching. Alright guys, so now I finished my silhouette, so I'm going to take 3 that I liked, that I thought could have some different shape variation that I could run with, and I'm going to start to sketch them. One of the things that I would highly recommend to you, some of you guys haven't had too much of a background in using perspective before, so what you can do is, I highly recommend is you think about drawing shapes, and just basic shapes, and we think about how those shapes exist in perspective. Now, if you'd like me to do a demo on perspective, for Cartoon Block, you got to ask Cartoon Block for that. If you'd like one, I'd be more than happy to do one. But let's talk about some basics. Let's take a look at the shape here. Now what I'm going to do, I'm not going to be doing silhouettes. I'm going to be drawing through my shapes. But I'm going to take some of these shapes and I'm just going to sort of lightly come in here and I can sketch them up now and see how they look in perspective. And I can just draw some of these real basic sort of shapes here and imagine how I can piece together part of my bot here. Now one of the things you're going to see as I put together shapes, you're going to see me throwing down center lines down shapes to make sure that they're working well. Again, I'm doing this as sort of a rough pass, so I'm just trying to get in here now and figure out what shapes might be working well and where I can add some detail. And this is a way I start to basically block out part of my design sensibilities, and then I can come back to that and look and figure out what I might want to push a little bit more. Okay, I like this idea of this sort of triangle split here with this sort of sharp point down in here. Okay, also shorten that and bring it back to here. So about right there. Okay. And then what I like to do when I design is after I just finish with some of the shapes, I just like to do some other variations of it. So I'll take this sketch right here, I'll move it up here, I'll scale it down a little bit, and then now my thought is what happens if I really widen that face structure a little bit? Where is that going to take me? So let's just stick with the shape. If I were to draw through the shape, I might have something like this. I might come over here and indicate that there might be, what if I had some type of a side wing, or what looks like the side of a hammerhead shark sort of coming out of here, okay? And then again, there's my sort of center line coming through my object. There's it coming down right in here. This time, what if I angled the body back a little bit more? What if I have that wing that covers, but what if I can get some of this to come back a little bit more this way? And then maybe here's like the center mass point, and then I have these spheres that connect here, and then maybe I have part of the legs that come from here, come up this way, and then they sort of come down like this, okay? Okay, so that's another little sketch. That's it. I'm not going for detail right now. I'm just going for just trying to break up and see what I come up with in terms of just, these are my variations, okay, how I'm developing. Then I'll pick one or two, and you can see I'm doing them pretty fast. I'm not spending more than just, just a couple minutes on these. Nothing too fancy, right? And then I'll do a couple more. I'll do some down here, and then I'll pick the ones that I like the most, and then I'll go in there and start to really develop that. So let me come over here. I'll pause for a second, and then we'll do a couple more, and then we'll finish up. Hi guys, sorry about that. I just paused for a minute, and I just want to come back here and keep sketching, and we'll just keep working along here. So I was going off of this design that I had here, just trying to think of some other variations. There's really not much of a change with what's happening here, but you know, this is part of that sketch process where maybe I could think of something that's maybe a little bit different. So again, I'm just trying to work with some basic shapes and see what comes out from there. I'm not going to talk as much. I can just focus on what I'm drawing here. It's probably one of the harder things to do when you're sketching, is trying to talk to somebody at the same time every time. It's a little thin piece there, but maybe I could support it by having some cool wires or something hanging down in part of that design there. I was telling another student I was working with the other day, I like the fact of these like little cameras that could be mounted on the side. In here. Just could be something that adds to it. And I could come back to define this up a little bit more. And I like this idea. That was sort of an accident of this plate cover. Now I'm sort of liking that thought of that being in here more. That's pretty cool. And what if these were sort of like spheres? fit in here. And there's one on the back side. Get a center line in there, sort of draw through that shape a little bit here. And then we see this sphere, and then connected to the sphere I could have some other leg of some kind. Okay, so I'm actually running out of room. Let me see how much more room I get. Oh, I got a little bit more room down there. Here, let's just move him over real quick. Let's just take him real quick and put him up here, and then I'll finish sketching on him. They have a little bit more room for the legs, and then I can scale them down. So these legs, I like looking what I did before. These come down, out. These sort of went straight across. What if, I was just wondering, what if these legs look like they came back a little bit? What if they, for some reason, they moved back in here a little bit, and then I'm going to throw another circle in here, and then what if they came forward and out, sort of like just an idea. You never know. Maybe it's a bad idea right now, but you know, it helps to pursue some of those ideas to see where they could take you. Now, I don't know if that would make, let's just try it. Let me just keep second guessing myself here. Maybe it expands up, so maybe this is like a base, a prone position for where it starts. Define some of that other detail a little bit later. That's sort of cool. I like that rendition of this. Now let's talk about real quick here. This is my rough sketch, right? As I'm developing this a little bit more, let's think about this sphere on the other side. I'm going to do this on another layer real quick here, and then I can merge the two. But I want to show you that if I have 1, 2, the other sphere is going to be about right here. So that's going to sort of come downward, and the other sphere is going to be positioned about right in here. And if that's positioned about right there, it's going to, so it comes, actually, I'm a little bit off there, 1, 2, 3, and then I came down a little bit. So it's actually, that's why I put it on another layer real quick. It's my bad here. If I just draw an ellipse in there, you can see that shape. It's going to be somewhere in about here, let's say. And that's going to, with the little rod, that's going to come down and sort of hook up in there. Then, if I have 1, 2, I'm going to find that triangle. That third point is sort of back there. So it's going to be sort of hard to see, but I'm going to go ahead and just stretch it out a little bit more and put it about right here, that other back leg. So I'm looking at the back side of this now, like this perhaps, like that. If that makes sense. And then I'm going to connect that. I didn't establish anything for how that connects, but now I can just sort of come in here and I could take a straight line and draw that through right here. Okay, so there I have enough there to give me a little bit more of a feel for it on how it works, and then I could come back up and define that guy up a little bit more. So I just wanted to draw through that to show you the difference, how I figure out where that back leg is going to be. It technically it should be back here, but I'm going to push it off just so the silhouette pops out a little bit. And yeah, that's a little bit of a cheat. That's fine. I'm going to merge this layer down with this other one here, and I like this sketch a lot actually. I think I needed to just get a room of quiet students to get this one done. There we go. So I'm going to take that sketch right now, and I'm just going to scale it down. We're getting a little bit of slag. Oh, come on there, Windows. Windows is really lagging here right now. See how slow that's going? Usually it doesn't go this slow. Come on, give me my options, Windows. What's going on? It's something too much. Hi guys, sorry about that. We had a little tech issue here when I was scaling down. I just had to restart my computer. I had some other files open that were really dragging in there. So here I just scaled my guy, put him right up there, and that's just fine for right now. Again, we're working in a sort of a rough stage here. So what I'm going to do now is going to take a look at my other mech here and let's sketch him out. Again, we're just working rough here. Let's take a look at these shapes that are in here. Try to get these mimicked. Again, let's draw them at a 3/4. So I know that my guy, I'm going to start here with sort of a base cylinder. sketch up something like this. He might have sort of a square front plate like this. And again, I started with a cylinder here. I'm just going to raise, I see I have this angle coming up here in the back that's right here like that. So what I'm going to do is just take that angle and see if I can pitch it in here like this. And again, you can always modify that, adjust it. I don't really have a dedicated side view here, so anything I do sort of on a side view is me sort of making it up as I go. And I decided to throw like this round curve of a cylinder here. You know, you might see just a teeny bit of it back there on the other side. And then I had this little antenna item, but you can't see how I had that in here. So one of my thoughts was, what if I split part of the head open like this, put the little split in there, and if I come down in here, let me do something like this. Maybe I put a little light element or something in there, and then I could come back here and I could throw this antenna in here like this. I might have this. And you know what's funny, I was talking to a student about this, is I know we're in a world of Wi-Fi and there are no more antennas, but it's about the silhouette shape. There's something awesome when an antenna sort of popping out of something. It looks really cool. So there, now I have this sort of top piece in here. I'm going to find out, you remember the center of my ellipse is, I'm going to bring down some type of a base right in here. And then I'm going to come down and start to draw the body. And look at the same thing. I want to make sure to sort of sketch out my ellipse in here nicely. Just right there, just for a rough sketch. Actually, I might even bring it in a little bit tighter. Erase a little bit off of here. And I'm going to start with the body first. I have a part in this sketch that really flies backward. And then there's a part of the chest that comes off angled. So what I like to do, especially when I work with students, is I like to tell them about just starting with just simple shapes here. Examine what's in the shape, sketch it out rough, find a dedicated center line. Center lines are always just so important to get in there. And then once you get that center line, it gives you a good idea on how you might be able to see how I have that angle there. Now I can figure out how I want to pitch the angle of this surface, and then if I bring it in here and draw, you see that? I just created basically a little triangle right here that's sitting on top of that cylinder. It's the same thing here. As I move back here, I have this element, this sort of, see how it recedes past this line here. So I want to go back there and I want to make sure I have that overhang receding back. So if I come back, draw through the shape, I can see where it ends back here. So I'm going to bring this little element out and sort of wrap that around, and then it curves downward like this, okay? And it looks like I have sort of a round base there. Don't know exactly how I was doing this. I'm going to go ahead, and I like this idea that I came to before of sort of maybe there's a round leg there. Maybe there's some type of, I'm going to go off of my center line coming down here, receding back. I might have that center line be about right there, and then I'm going to sketch in the other sphere right in here that would be on the other side. And then once I get that in, I can now come in and just look at, I mean, I'm already liking what's happening here. Look at how that shape is working from what took place here. And, you know, that's the real benefit of doing these quick little sketches, is that, you know, we started with nothing. We had a silhouette, and boom, here we are. So now I'm going to go ahead. I had 1, 2, 3 sort of legs coming. I also had this front sort of chest plate. Let me see if I want to come in here and see if I can get that. Let me draw something right in here, center line. I'm going to throw up an item right here that looks like it's sort of a chest plate that comes. Now you'll notice this chest plate does drop lower than what's right here. So I might come in here and lightly erase some of this angle that I have. Even if I have to erase some of my drawing, I might pitch this up a little bit more, bring it in about there, if that's sort of making sense what I just did there, okay? And then I'm going to bring this item, I'm going to end it about there, and then I'm going to just add, actually I don't want to end it right there, it's landing right on a tangency for me right there. So I'm going to come in here and just sort of erase some of that real quick. Let's bring this down a little bit more, just about there. And then I'm going to end it here. So this is like a nice little chest plate detail of some kind. I don't know, maybe it's protective armor. Let me just add a little, I wanted something that sort of protruded out a little bit more like that. That's sort of cool like that, okay? There we go. And that can be, now we don't notice it from this angle, but it's sort of sticking out from the front, and that's okay for right now. I like what's happening here, and I really like how that pops out a little. I can add something cool in the back there. So this comes forward. So now I have the center plate that's right in here, and I have the, you know, these 2 legs, and it looks like I have a third leg sort of from the front. I'll get to that in a second. Let me Let me come back here. I also had this other plate hanging this way, so I might come in here. Maybe this hangs down more like that, and there's a plate that comes forward in here or something. Sort of sketch that in there a little bit. That might change something. Again, if I draw this from a real detailed side view, I can come back in, alter some of that a little bit later. So that's cool. I have that in here, and my perspective is getting a little crooked there. That's all right for right now. We're just roughing it in. So let's go ahead. Let's focus on the leg. I have a leg that's right here. It's going back. So remember, think of, some of you haven't had figure drawing in here. If I come in here and if I draw this shape right in here, and if I recede this backward, I have a cone that's sort of receding back this way. You see that? I drew that. That leg is falling back like so. Okay, and then I'm going to have another like circular element here. This is going to land on top like this, and then I have that leg come down, and then maybe something that maybe falls backward a little bit. So I'm actually not liking, uh-oh, that was an accident. There's my Cintiq wigging out. I actually want to adjust that part of that angle right there. I was going way off to the side. I was sort of imagining this cone coming from here and coming just a little bit more foreshortened, coming maybe down about there. I was going way too much there. So that's much better like that. And then once I get that leg there, let's just go ahead and I'm going to sketch that in here on the other side. I'm going to draw through the shape here. Okay, put a couple rough perspective lines in there that are sort of guiding me through. And I want to lightly come in here and take the faded eraser. Oops. Uh-oh, getting that slow down effect there. Erase some of this in here so we can know. I just drew, that way we know the shapes behind that sphere. Okay, so I'm going to come in here and do the same thing now. I'm going to come back like this. And look again, here's the benefit of that center line. See, I can see where that lands. Then I could take that distance, know where that lands here. I could transfer that over to here and make sure I'm about the same distance apart. And I could, if I got into real technical perspective, I could do proportional division and transfer that. But all I want to do right now is know where this hits, transfer that to here, and then I have a good idea where this leg would come down and end about there. That's how I sort of figure that out. Okay, so that leg comes down about there, and then the leg's going to sort of, I have another one of these sphere gizmos on it. Let's say right here like this sort of. And then from here, let me sketch that on the other side. Okay, this one I'm looking at a different angle here. Then I'm going to have that leg fade back a little bit more. This guy's going to be sort of flying. So let's have another sphere here. Let's just bring the leg back like this. It's just a little cylinder, and I might make it look like there's a calf muscle here, maybe like they call this a tibialis anticus on the front here. Anytime I could mimic something that's human related, put it what they call biceps femoris, maybe look like there's a muscle in the back, even though it's just a machine. If I can make it resemble something that's humanized, that's going to add a little bit more detail to it. And then back here, I just want to have what looks like some type of a metal or plated foot of some kind going back this way, just sort of flinging back. I might even put these little segments on it, draw it just as a real basic cube shape. I can come into this later and alter it if I want. I just want to have the feeling that maybe this thing's sort of flying across. And I had the idea of having another leg or two come out of the front and the back maybe. So let me just finish this. We have that right there. So right here we have to sort of draw through, and then that leg is going to go back here. We're not going to really be able to see it. I just had another idea. I like this body shape, and what I was just thinking is, what if I drew like spider legs on here, instead, and had them, maybe he doesn't fly and float like this, so I could make that transition where maybe he's like walking spider. I don't know. Maybe that's not the best idea right now. Let's come down here. So I get these ideas that pop in my mind, and then sometimes I need to figure out what I want to develop out of them. I do want to thought of throwing maybe another, say, drawing through the shape. I have the other sphere that's back in here. I might draw a cone coming back this way. Something like this. Okay. Another, I'm going to arch this one up a little bit, put something like this on here. There we go. And I just feel, even if this is flying, and I know I have the legs back, I drew them a little different here. I just feel like adding something more. What if I want to add, maybe this guy needs like tentacles of some kind in here. Maybe he has like a long tentacle that sort of comes out, wraps around here. And maybe these tentacles have like little pads on them or something. Definitely want to make them feel like they're mechanical. Maybe there's like a little light on them, a little light or something here. And maybe there's another one sort of back here as well. Just going to wrap that shape with just a couple rubber bands in there, get that to pop out a little bit. I sort of like that tentacle idea. Let me lightly erase some of this in here. There we go. And I want to, so if I have a tentacle that's sort of coming down from here, maybe I have a round part of, maybe the part of this frame goes over like this, and there's a round part that comes out here. So let me sketch in something right in here. So again, it's getting a little complicated in there, right? Let me come in here, let me lightly erase some of this. I want to sketch out other tentacle sort of coming through right here. There we go. And let's just start right here. Wrap some rubber bands around that so we can see that thing coming through. Turn it back down in here like this. Alright. Get that up here like so. That's cool. Like that. And then let's put another. I'm really digging that tentacle idea. Maybe this leg comes back and does something else. Erase some of what's right in there. And then there's another. Maybe we see the light indication of another tentacle back in here like this coming out. Actually, let me erase that. I got that the wrong angle coming out of there. Oops, I keep doing that. If I bring it down, it's going to cross over that, and it could be overlapping this like so, like this, and come in. But I don't know. Let me back up a couple steps. Oops, go back one more. I like the thought of it maybe like it's sort of rounding out like this a little. Okay. Maybe put just a couple little lines on there. That's sort of cool. And maybe these, gosh, maybe these tentacles maybe they're like little claws of some kind. Yeah. They grab you and they'll pinch you and cause pain and suffering. Claws are a great visual read for the eye, right? I mean, long, skinny claws are going to reach up and pinch your jugular and cause you to, something like that, right? That's pretty cool. I got to be careful. I don't want to have him turning his claws into himself here. So let me adjust this one down here. Yeah, now he's got another set of claws. So that's pretty cool. I'm liking the way that guy's developed. It's sort of neat for me because I'm looking at it now, and it has sort of a cross breed. He feels robot, but he has some octopus in there. He has these legs. Get him sort of a crab. And I'm still liking this sort of head shape feel, like he's maybe some type of, I don't know, like just trying to keep this sort of diamond shaped. It ended up going a little bit more triangle, but maybe if I expand this out and put some other details on here, figure out, maybe I need to get some really cool looking V's in there to really emphasize what part of that V head on a rattlesnake might be, even though I should expand out the shape. But again, this is just a rough comp, right, to get through. There, so I have another rough drawing done. Let me see if I can minimize this guy real quick. I'm going to pause the recorder. I'll do one or two more, and then we'll just come in. I'll pencil a little bit of detail on these, and then we'll throw some tone behind them to get them to pop, and that's it. That would be a good page for me to pass on to an art director to work from. Okay, so 1 second. Okay, all right, guys, I'm back here real quick. I just had to take a little break there and let the software record properly. So let's come in here. Let's keep drawing. You know, now I'm going back. See, I'm starting to get a rhythm flowing with the designs I'm doing right now. So now I'm looking back at this guy, and I'm like, man, I want to add more. You know, what if I? So now I want to come in here, and just my thought is, what if I add some more cool shapes that are into this guy and put something else in here? What if there's like, you know, a little bit of something hanging down here? What if there's a center plate that's over here? maybe there's some type of, maybe he has like a light machine, I don't know, whatever, something down here on the side, just to add a couple more bits of detail. And I like this large head shape he had. Part of me is ready to come back in there and start adding a little bit more. Even this guy, he was just real simple, real plain, mimicking what's here. And now I feel like adding just a little bit more. I had this thought, I like this curve that I placed inside his head here. There, I sort of like a little fin coming out of the side, so it's not so empty there. Let's wrap a couple lines around the shape here, just to give him a little bit of, there we go, just real quick, nothing major. I had this thought of, what if I wrap part of this head shape in here like this, and then he has like a base plate, it can be like that underneath. So I just put a couple lines going across this way on it, something like that. Put some little piping on here. Let's give a little biceps femoris, give a calf muscle in here. Maybe there's a little hose coming from there, a little center plate. Just some little details. Again, just adding a teeny bit more to it. So let's add another layer here. Let me go ahead. I like that one. Let's just drop this, merge that layer down. And on this one, let's do another version of, I don't know which one to do, this guy or this guy. Well, this guy's sort of defined already. I just wanted to expand off of him, but I still like this head shape that's here. So let's just sketch him for a minute or two and see what we end up with here. Okay, I'm going to do this on another layer here. This time I might change some of the body, and again, I added arms and stuff here. What if I do this one a little bit different? So how about this one? We start with the body here. So what I'm going to do is just sketch like a real basic sort of cube shape here. Okay, throw in a center line there. Always throw that center line. Always draw through the shape. Know what's happening to your shapes, okay, guys? And I'm doing it super rough here. I'm a little off there, but that's all right. I have enough to see off of. I don't need to be ruler tight on this, okay? And so, oops, not rotate. Let's move this up a little bit here, like so. Uh-oh. That's the computer wigging out because we're recording at the same time. All right, so let's come in here and start working. So what if this guy was really wide? So if I were to draw him from a front view, what if his body was super wide and then he had like the top element? So what if, this is a great example too. We could do this on another demo, but if I draw some light lines going across here, I can figure out what this character might look like from a definitive front view. And I could come in here and mark him up and then figure out what the rest of this might be in here, and identify. So the head could even be a lot smaller overall than what the body is. But, that's fine. I just wanted to mention that real quick. That's something I think about. Oops. That is something that I like to think about when I'm working. Let me back up there. I just wanted to erase this here. I thought I was on another layer, and I guess I wasn't. 1 second, guys. There we go. Okay, so I have this box shape right in here now. And I just want to come in here and let's just add to it. Give me a second. I realize I put that on the wrong layer. Let's take that. Let's copy. Let's delete what's there. And let's paste it into this layer. Aha. I'm going to move it down right here. And a little lower. Come on. Sorry, that's the computer wigging out because we're recording. There we go. Stop. There we go. Perfect. Okay, close that window. All right, so now let's come back on this and let's finish this guy up a little bit. So I have a plate here. We're talking about making him really wide going in this direction. So let me just add some width to him right in here. Okay. And I was thinking of a center point here. So this might come up like so. Okay, draw through your shape. Figure out how these shapes are working in here. Okay, that's pretty cool. I'm liking that. And then maybe that center plate is more, it's going to be in here like so. Like that. And made this guy a little bit bigger. Let's get in there and define some of that head shape. Oops. Need to focus with what I'm doing here. Starting to draw a little sleepy because I haven't had any real lunch/dinner today. There we go. Let's get a basic shape in here. Okay. All right, so this time, let me erase a couple lines in here. We're getting something a lot different. I have a different head shape that's in there, and I'm taking some liberties here than what I had before, but that's all right. I still want to follow. I like that idea of splitting some of this in the back here. So what if I split this, come over like this, and then that might come and drop, and then I have like a device in here, and there's like an antenna. Make it look like it's some type of brains back there, right? That could sort of fit together. I like this eye and this little row here. Okay, coming in there, that's sort of working. And let's take a look at the body. I'm starting to feel like I made the body maybe a little too thick in there. I'm going to see if I can solidify that. One thought I had was, what if I drop this down, bring it out and over a little bit more, sort of simplify it a little like this, curve it down a little bit, give them a little liposuction right there, and take some of that off. And again, the other side here, that we're just going to see a little bit of that, barely even. We won't even see the other side sort of happening there. Okay, so I like that silhouette. That's how this head curves back, and then this body comes here. And again, that plate, remember that plate that comes back right here? Now I could come in here and I could throw that plate in there. This might come back like so. Maybe there's like a protective unit on it like so. That can come back. Alright, so he's starting to come together a little bit. Let's figure out the base. Here I need to, let's move him up a little bit. Uh-oh, not that move. That's moving the whole... It's funny, you work back between... I like Sketchbook Pro for some of its drawing sensibilities, and it's a very affordable program for students. Except don't use it when you're recording like this. There we go. Okay, hold on a minute. Gotta wait for it to stop here. The recorder's eating up all the memory. There we go. I have this on another layer here. I'm just going to move this up a little bit, and then I'll scale them back down. Trying to go really slow on the move here so it doesn't go too fast. Stop. There we go. Moving back over here just a little bit more so I can see him clearly. Okay? All right. So I have that part going across here. And now let's think about, I need to get the legs in there defined, and I do sort of like these legs that I came up with here. They felt like segments with long spikes, and I was wondering, what if I could find a way to incorporate those on this guy here? So what if I have, like, where this cover is, what if there's literally like one leg right underneath there, and then where these round sort of plates are, maybe this is like a protective plate here, right, that covers this. Maybe there's another nice round sort of sphere in there. Okay, give me a second here. I want to erase this a little bit here. There we go. Let's thin that down a little bit. That looks much better. Sometimes just the weight of the pencil can be a little bit off in there. Okay, so if I come through here, I'm going to see, just draw a little bit of that. I'm going to see a teeny bit of that sphere coming through on the other side right here. Okay. There we go. A little center line in there. Imagine a little center line in there. Alright, and then I have that same guy coming over. Let's just throw a couple of lines going across here. Actually, I'd barely be able to see that. Just a teeny bit like so. That's fine. Now, you know what? I'm sort of actually want to make him more robotic and put a midsection, but I want to stay true to my silhouette. So I think what I'm going to do is, I was imagining something, if I find the middle of this guy. So just to draw this on another layer to show you what I mean by finding the middle of that guy. If I look at this shape that I drew here, this shape right here, and draw it in red for you so you can see it, right? The shape sort of protruded out like this. It has a center line that goes that way. It has a center line that's crossing back here. And that true shape was something about like right there. So that's about the center. So if I come from that center and imagine dropping something that comes down a little bit, like a plate structure or something that comes underneath like this. See, I could have something cool that might come down that could be, maybe it has, I don't know, camera, something on there, whatever, and then I could finish up the other detail of the arms and stuff around there. So Here, I just did that on a separate layer. I can come back to that. Let's keep sketching here. So now if I imagine where that center is, it's about, let's say, right in here. Actually, I didn't mean to do that. In red, let's go back to black here. So now if that's sort of my center line right in here, I want to get these other legs that I sketched in here. So I sort of have this weird Y thing happening. Reminds me of, you can find a lot for great arms and stuff. Go look at like off-road four-wheel drive vehicles and stuff. There's lots of really cool shapes in part of the suspension systems that take place. I love to off-road and that type of stuff. So anytime you can find any other reference, it's going to help you along in part of your design process. Sure. And I really like that weight of this like big heavy thing. And then maybe from here there's like another sphere here. Maybe it's a little bit smaller. And then this leg's going to recede backward a little bit. I could almost put like a tank tread on there or something else too. So let's foreshorten this and have this guy sort of drifting back a little bit, back down. Maybe back in this direction. Give me a second, I was just thinking here. And I sketched just a rough, I don't know where I was going with that, but I feel like there needs to be some type of legitimate, so I'm going to have to move this guy up again here, because I ran out of room. So give me a second, let me grab him, hopefully we don't. Come on, computer, still going? I might have to stop the video here for a second and start over again. Let's first try to scale him down a little bit. There we go. So now he's fitting in much easier. Then I'm going to move him back up. I have him on a separate layer. Let's get him in there about like right there. That's fine. Stop. A bit more. Stop. Okay, perfect. All right, let's close that. And let's keep sketching there. So I have that leg coming in right. Before I address what else is here, let me get these side legs that are sketching. Even though I have a different head now on him, I just want to sketch this in here real quick. So if this is coming out, I think we should make the other leg let's have it come out this way first. Overthinking part of this. I like that plate that sort of pops out like so. And here, and then maybe it sort of comes up. There's a sphere in there. Okay, center ball, and then we come back to here, and now I'm going to bring that shape down, then have this silhouette shape sort of pop out, and he has this really cool looking crab leg, like maybe we can make even some of the crabs have that little indentation on there that makes them. So maybe this hand in the front here, maybe it's some type of like spiral hand that has actually it could have like a multi-claw system or something, right? It could have like a light in the back here. We could sketch this like it's there's a claw on here, right? Let's make a little claw in here. Comes down like that type of thing. And let's add a cylinder or two in here, throw a wire or two that might be holding this together. Sort of re-emphasize some of that sphere shape that's in here, like that. That can be some type of real cool hand that sort of goes in and out. I could even shorten part of it, okay? So let's come over here now and let's, lightly sketch up. Got this line going this way. Let's bring this other line back in here. Let's figure out some of the distance. Let's get our center line down there. I didn't really do that accurately. I was just, again, we're rough in here. So now I can get a good idea. First of all, look at a problem here in perspective. This is just me sketching fast. See where that leg drops right down here? That's too far. So what we need to do is we want to make sure that leg comes down and drops and hits about down here. So what I'm going to do is erase part of what I had here and bring it over a little bit more like this, just real rough and quick, and then I can adjust it a little bit later, like in here. Okay, then, so look, bottom, right, there's that leg, it comes forward a little bit. That's all right too, I can adjust that leg a little. In fact, here, let's do that right now. I wanted to make it smaller. It's a little large in there. There we go. So I have that selected right there. And I'm just going to come over here, and let's just hit scale down. Okay, I'm going to move that over, just sort of position it right in there. That's fine. Actually, let's rotate a little too. Not too much. That's like his little mechanical arm. That's cool. Let's get it right about in there. Okay. And then let's close that. So now on this part, I want this to end. You know, if that's the center line right there, that's going to be the center of the ground, right? So let's make sure that if we get that crab leg-like looking arm on here, it's dropping down to about right here. And maybe it has something that pops up like here on the side. So we need to change part of that design process, but that's okay. Right now we're just roughing this out, trying to get a good idea. We could take that, redraw it, and redefine it a little bit more, put some other details on there, really get it to sort of pop out. That's pretty cool right in there, like this that's happening in here. And let's come over to the side. Let's draw this other shape over here. So let's lightly sketch back to this side. I can plot out. I can see that distance from here to here. So if I measure that over to there, if I come back a little bit, just lightly sketch, I can see where that sphere shape's going to be hitting. It's going to be topping off about there. So I know that sphere is going to be somewhere about like there. Okay, it's going to have that leg that's coming up like so. This leg's going to come back in here, have a little bit of the bends. Might be a little plate lightly popping out, protruding. Let's get a little circle in there. Okay, and then we need to come back here. We have this large sort of round shape that's here. We have part of the arm that's going to be so some of this is going to be lightly covered up, but I could add like a couple little gizmos or whatnot. So that's enough for what I have right there, and that's cool. That's another design, another progression that I've developed here. So you know, that's what I really wanted to stress about doing this demo, is I want to show students, some of you tech geeks out there and students that like to draw, that designing is not always about coming up with the best idea the first time. It's about developing an idea and going through steps and phases. So now I'm going to take this guy. Let me scale him down a little bit more. Did him on a separate layer. Uh-oh, stop. We're at about 18 minutes now on this guy. I'm getting too much time in here. Need to speed it up a little bit. Okay, there we go. That's sort of cool. I'm going to move him back over here. And I was going to do one more, just real quick. Let me see if I could just take a couple parts from some of these guys and maybe mix something up real fast, you know? So let's just try that really quick here. Let's say we took part of this body shape here and made something different. So I love the exploratory process. I think it's a really, really important part of designing and coming up with fresh, sort of new, different ideas. Let's take this right here. Take this body shape. Sorry for the lag. That's just the recorder. There we go. I'm going to copy this shape, and I'm going to come over here, and I'm going to add a new layer to this right here, and I'm going to paste that shape in. First thing I'm going to do is scale it down. I'm going to make that into some type of a weird head shape if I can. Let's move that over here. And stop. Oh, there we go. I might have to pause for a minute, guys, and just get that recorder going. Let's scale down a little bit more. And get it right up in here. Okay, that's cool. That really looks like an interesting shape. Okay, close that. So now I'm going to lightly sketch on it. Let's develop that a little bit more. Or what if I take the eye that I had here? Let's sketch that eye in here. I get that robotic eye that's in here. And maybe it lightly comes back like this a little bit, and it has this cool sort of, let me get this interior line in there so we can see that. Sorry, I need to practice on my ellipses a little bit more. I had this cover sort of swung out here like this, so I'm going to try to sketch in some type of a plated cover right in here. There we go. So that could be a cover, there could be an arm, little socket pang that comes down here. This comes up here. I like that a lot. And then I want to erase this part in here. Let's get rid of some of that. See how that looks like a cool little head now? And look at that. I just took that from my other robot right here. I got this cool little headpiece. I know, I'm old school. Got to have the antenna on the back, right? Definite robot shape. Got to have antennas. So that's pretty cool. I'm liking that a lot. I'm going to add another layer right underneath this one. I'm going to come back here to my key layer, and let's select a head shape and make it into a body shape this time. Okay, so let's come over here, and I'm going to select this shape right in here. This guy. This is going to be our new body shape right here. Okay, so 1 second, there it is. Let's Command C, we've copied that, and let's come over here to our our new layer right here, and let's paste that in. It's underneath. Now I can, of course, I'm going to scale it down a little bit more because I want to, uh-oh, that wasn't good. Hold on a minute, guys. Let's delete that. Something happened there. Let me back up a couple steps. I think I was on the wrong layer. See if I can go back. There we go. Let's get that guy. And something happened here. Let me make sure I got the right layer. There it is. Now I have that. Let's do it again. We had a little. There we go. All right. Obviously, this is, oops. Sorry, guys, I'm having a technical difficulty here. I'm going to try to select this one more time. I need to stop recording and let it save. It's eating up the computer RAM right now, and it's affecting the way Sketchbook is performing. Try to go slow. Yeah, that didn't work again. So hold on one second. All right, guys, welcome back. I just had to stop there, let the recorder get caught up there. Computer memory's good to go. So now I copied him. I'm going to come back over here, just like I was doing. I'm going to paste him on this layer. There he is. Let's move his butt over here. And look at that already. Look, I have something totally different. That really turned out to be a really cool head shape in there. So let's do something totally different. I just had this idea. It might be out of perspective for a moment here, but I can try to draw him again. Let's rotate him 360 degrees and see if we get a cool body shape. It might come out of this guy. There we go. So we're slowing down here again. Pause that recorder. All right, guys, I tried flipping them and I forgot, you know, it isn't Photoshop. I can't transform him over to the perspective I want. So I'm just going to bring him up right under here like this. And I like this a lot right in here. I think this is pretty cool. And then I'm going to change the legs on this guy in a minute here. So let's get him into place here. So I have this on layers, so this is an easy fix for me. So first I'm going to do is come on this layer, and I want to erase, go back to pen tool here. Let's erase some of the lines that are underneath this arm and this body right here. Do you see that? So we'll get that sort of cool looking head part to sort of fix up a little bit. And then I want to come back here. Let's take the head. I'm going to select him real quick. Let's rotate him over a little bit. All right, because I like that point is hitting right there. So I'm just going to select him. Let's just rotate him a teeny bit more this way, just like so. And I'm going to move him up just a teeny bit to about right there, like that. That's cool. Get that silhouette. Rotate him maybe a little bit more like that. That's cool. Okay, deselect. Now I go back to my pen here, and now I'm going to lightly come in here and just sort of, you know, get some of this, add a little bit, get that to pop out a little bit more in the silhouette. So now I have this centerpiece of his body, right? Maybe that could slide back and forth. So maybe I'm going to make some type of little center part here. Let me just put some lines in here real rough like that, right? And then maybe he sort of goes back and forth and can slide down, but he still has these really sort of nasty points that are in here. He's got one there. And then what I wanted to do on the end of this is those feet feel so small. They fit the robot up on the top, but they feel so small they don't really feel like he could really walk. So let's take some of these off. The perspective's a little off too. You know, I'm looking down on him. It should be much more of a elliptical shape right now, so it's not. So I'm just going to erase some of this and just sketch it in super lightly. Okay, but I like that body shape. Heck, that almost feels like he could just be flying around sort of like that. So let's come in here. Let's get another base sort of ellipse down here. Let me see where I'm going with this. I don't really know. Let's just get that in here. Let's just do this. Let's get a nice wide, let's get a decent ellipse just like that. And I'm going to come in here, find a center point right in here. Let's go off of this. I'm looking at the other legs because I want to have these somewhat similar. Draw a couple, something coming down here. And then I'm going to have this coming up in here. It's going to be foreshortened a little bit right there. And I want to have this much longer, more defined. Maybe there's a plate in the front, so something like that. Okay, there we go. And I'm going to come back in here and I get this element. There we go. Aha, cool. Now I got that leg. All I got to do real quick is draw this leg on the other side. And then I can flip them over, and then that's pretty, I like that. That leg looks sort of menacing in there. Let's do the other one real quick here. Sorry, that's a horrible circle. I'm getting tired. Gotta eat. The brain needs food. I know. So let's get this up here. So here's another, if I were to draw through here, imagine this on the back side here where it's hitting the ground plane. So I have this other one here. Let's end this one about here. Put that plate on the front too, to sketch that in super quick. Maybe there's a hose or two in here. Gotta love the hoses. I'll be right down there, thank you. So here we are, have this in here like that. And now let's just come back here. Let's sketch one coming in the back here. So it's going to end about there. There we go. Got that in there. That. Let's bring that back a little here. It's going to come back, connect in there. Get a little thicker. There we go. That's cool for right now. Okay, so here. And then let me scale him up. Let me merge this layer back down. Okay, merge that down here. And see, he's on a completely separate layer. And I'm going to select them real quick, and then we're going to scale them down. And then I'm going to do one last thing, and we're all done, guys. We're almost all finished. Congratulations, you made it through and almost have your whole page of designs here that you get to look at. There we go. Sorry for the lag there again. And scale this guy down a little bit. Not that much. Stop. There we go. A little bit more. That's good. Right there. Move them up a little bit. Now when I'm hitting the ground there. Okay, that's good. Deselect, and we're going to come back in a second. And what I'm going to do is just throw some tone back there to make the silhouettes really pop out. Maybe put in one or two details, and then we are finished. All right, guys, I paused there for a second. So for me, this is sort of a done page. I could go on back on here and put some detail. I like what's down below here. All I'm going to do is when I look up here, I just want to add just one or two like elements of something up here just to add on maybe a little shape. I did this super fast in here. Maybe there's one eye in the center. Maybe I like this idea of like these other smaller eyes sort of down here or something, and maybe there's an eye with some other element, a little antenna or something there. See, it just gives a little bit of interest there. It makes it look robotic, and that was part of my intentional goal here, was to have a reconnaissance robotic vehicle of some kind. Okay, so I'm just going to add a couple, let's spike that guy up here. Let's round that, put a little cap up on the top, something like this, just like that. Bring that back that way like that. Okay, that's cool. So the last thing I'm going to do is that I'm going to come in here and I'm just going to put a little bit of gray back behind my drawing to get the silhouette to pop out, and then I'm done. That's it. I leave them rough like this, and I'm finished. So hold on one second. I'm going to do that for you real quick. Okay, so I just started one right here. I'm on a separate layer. Something I love about Sketchbook Pro. I'm just coming in here with the airbrush tool. You see this? I'm just lightly going along, putting some value here, getting some areas to pop out. And if there's something I don't like, I can just erase it like that. Here, I punch up a couple areas. I might come in here, darken this up a teeny bit. See what that does? Gets the eyes to pop a little bit. Just a couple little areas of dark in there. Back in here, got that little antenna coming out. Okay, and again, this is old school. I learned this traditionally in the old advertising days using markers, but now with the benefit of a program like Sketchbook Pro, which is like a whopping $30 to own, you can do this really quick. So here we go. I'm just going to darken these up, and you see what it does? It just adds a little bit more of detail. That's it. It gets detail. I can't talk because I'm drawing at the same time. I'm just getting the shapes to pop out with what I'm doing, and sometimes I just do it real simple like this. I just come in here and try to get one sort of steady stroke in here. Oops, I was pressing way too dark on that. Let me back up here. Let me just go to a lighter value here. Here we go. I just like to come across like this super quick. There we go. Just get that filled in here. Okay, bear with me. And this is a way, when you look at it now, you get a nice read for the silhouettes that are taking place. But now I have some linear detail on there, which is pretty cool, right? That's what we want. We want to get some nice linear detail taking place so that we can see what's happening. So there's enough here now for me to sort of pass on. There we go. Boom. Okay. Let's Cool. That one's done. All right, and I did the legs super quick here. And I'm going to come back over. Let's do these other two. Here, I'll pause it, and then we'll be right back, and then we'll be finished up. All right, guys, so look, there it is. I threw the tone in here. That's it. I'm done. So let's go over here. Let's take a look. Look. See? Uh-oh, wrong drawing. Wrong layer. Here we are. So I take that tone out. You see that? The tone is just like a nice supporting layer. Allows a silhouette to read. I can put just a couple little indications of darker light where I want it, so it's a little bit easier to read. But from this point forward, let's just take a quick recap of what we did, right? Look, here's where we started. Okay, let me go ahead and let me merge some of these layers down. Let's bring this one down here. And let me just turn these off. Let's turn that guy off, that off. And let's come back here. That's where we started. Silhouette studies, basic ideas that get us from point A to point B, right? They don't always have to be correct. Whenever I do silhouettes, my first probably 4 to 5, maybe even sometimes 8 aren't the best. And then I really start developing a good feel for what it is that I want to design. But again, that's my process. And the more that I work in the subject matter that I'm dealing with, the better off that you get. And so that's what's really important to think about. Okay, so we went from that, and then we picked our top ones. And then we roughed them out, we threw some tone under them, and boom, we're done. And that's it. We're all finished. Thanks, Cartoon Block. See you later.